Good day and welcome back. You probably noticed there's been a bit of a shuffle around here. I've moved some benches around and made a bit more room. It was getting a bit out of control, but we're running out of space pretty rapidly. I did say in the last video at the end of it, if anyone was interested in seeing the old vintage engines I've got, and there's been a lot of people saying they're interested in seeing it. So I've got a 2-horse Ronaldson Tippet and a 3.5-horse diesel Ronaldson Tippet that's badged Gippsland and Northern. I had two 3.5-horse Ronaldson Tippets. One was pretty much complete, the other one was good for parts. I gave that to my mate Trevor, and he stuck a new head gasket in it, a new set of rings, give her a quick clean up, and it's running like a bloody clock. So he's had a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully I can get a bit of video of that running and at some time, and yeah, can show you that one. I've had a little bit of trouble with the little Ronaldson Tippet. I've had a little bit of trouble with the flywheel. I've done a bit of machining on that, which I didn't film, but Trevor rang me the other day and said, don't worry about that flywheel. He said, I've got another one coming, so I won't have to worry about putting the repaired one back on there at this stage. Anyway, we'll take us over and have a look at these engines. Okay, so this is a 2 horsepower Ronaldson Tippet. It is complete. I do have the magneto on the bench over there for it. I've got another head gasket coming for this one. I've done the head up a little bit now, but with the head done up tight, it still has compression. So as you can see, it's pretty clean. So this one I will be doing a full restoration on, doing a paint job, getting all the old paint off it, clean it all up, and I do have that's not the original choke cover. I do have the original brass one here for it now. We did find that. The young fella found it down in the old fella's shed in the weekend, which is good. So this one does have a flywheel issue. I'll just grab the flywheel and show you. So this is the flywheel off this Ronaldson Tippet. Now, it had a crack through the keyway, which I didn't realise until Trevor and I and another fella here were looking at them, and I discovered it. So what I'd done, I spun it in the lathe and machined a ring on it, and machined up an outer, like a ring to sit over it with about an inch and about 1.5 thou crush on it. So when I heat this up, once the flywheel's back on in position, heat this up, drop it over, and it'll hold back down on that. That's what I was going to do, but Trevor tells me that he's sourced another flywheel, which I prefer not to have this on there. It looked pretty shit, but it's still a good spare, and you know, if I have to end up using it, I still can. So that's what happened there. I didn't film machining this because I really had no idea how I was going to hold it. I ended up making a mandrel, and yeah, held on a mandrel, and I couldn't do it up because every time I'd done the clamp up, it was spreading the crack. So I had to take it pretty easy. I did get it to clamp up a little bit, but it wasn't what I'd say rock solid. Yeah, it still had a chance to go pear-shaped. You probably won't pick it up in the camera, but the crack does lead back a fair way. Yeah, it did worry me spinning it, you know, 1,000 revs, and if it does fly to bits, you'd be a little bit destructive. So that's the 2 horse. They're a governor control engine. So they're a beautiful old engine. They just tick away and pretty economical to run back in the day. The 3-horse one Trevor's got is a petrol carro. It does have a sump in the bottom of the tank and 2 filler caps on the tank. One filler cap that has the petrol side of it's got a tube that runs all the way down into the bottom of the sump. And it just holds a tiny bit of petrol, so you start on petrol. It's quite an inventive system really. Started on petrol and it comes straight out of the carby picks up, or the pickup that goes down into the tank picks up the petrol first, because kerosene floats on petrol. When the petrol runs out, it automatically flicks over to Caro and just starts running on Caro, because Caro was a lot cheaper back in the day. So it was, yeah, quite an inventive system. But this one, like I say, is going to get a full paint job and dazzled up. It'll just go back to the Ronaldson Tippett red, or as close to as I can get, and may make another exhaust with a proper muffler, try and replicate the muffler to a point. But I'm pretty confident this one will run no drums at all. Okay, so this here is the diesel, 3.5 horsepower. Now you'll notice the difference, got the Ronaldson Tippett red and the green. Now this has been made up out of 2 engines. This engine does run, and I'll put a clip in here where Toby was having a fiddle around with it. So that's the engine running. This has been modified quite drastically in some ways. The tank, the fuel tank on it, the diesel tank, it's all soldered together and it's leaking like a sieve. So I'm probably going to have to manufacture a new tank, or try and find another tank and modify it to suit the engine. Later on I will show you the way the diesel system did work, but this one's been modified and it's got external fuel lines on it now. So why I say it's a little bit unique is, back in the day, from what I can work out, if say a company bought 100 of these, they were allowed to rebadge them. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but just say they bought 100, they're allowed to rebadge them in their own, put their own names on them. So Gippsland and Northern. Now this has got 2 Gippsland and Northern plates. This one is a CM diesel, which runs at 900 RPM. This badge is saying it's a CR diesel, running at 1000 RPM. You pull this cover here off, the bottom of the big end journals have got green paint on them. So it's been made up out of 2 engines at some time, and I want to try and keep it as is. I don't want to change it. That's the way it was. It was, someone had done it up out of 2 engines, and that's the way I want to keep it. I don't want to repaint this one if I can get away with it. It does look rough as guts, but I don't really care. It's the way it is. Now, the base, I am going to take this bottom section off the base leather on this one and build some steel wheels, put on make it onto a trolley. That's the original copper hopper that come with this one. What I was told when I bought this engine, that hopper is the original. It was the original one, so I was told. They're an amazing thing. Like, this sat outside under a tarp for over 12 months, and Toby and I bring it over the shed the other day, and Toby got home from school and Toby talked me into starting it. So bled the injector and chucked some oil down in the port in the top to give it more compression for initial start. Away she went. I just made up a dodgy exhaust so it didn't shoot oil up onto the roof when they start, but Yeah, it just started up like there was no tomorrow. Just sat there and idled over. So when you bump this is the accelerator. Bump that all the way back, it'll idle at 750 revs, and full revs, this one goes to 950 at full revs. So it'll be just, I'm not going to have it running full revs. When I do run them, they're just going to be idling over. I've really got a soft spot for this diesel. For some reason, I don't know what it is, I just reckon it's a pretty cool engine. So yeah, so that's the two I'm going to play with at the moment. And I'll show you something else I picked up on the weekend. Many years ago, Dad was doing some roading, and one of the corners was just all rock, and he bought this. It's a 2-stroke Jackhammer. Now, how you pronounce it, I don't know. Ponjar, whatever you want, however you pronounce it. Dad was drilling this. You can use it as a jackhammer, plus you can put a drill in it and it rotates, you know. The old man was saying they were drilling holes about 14 foot deep in the rock and just over an inch diameter, and putting jelly down them and blowing the rock, put the corners in. I asked Dad whether he'd let me bring it home, clean it all up, and the old man said, take the bastard home, and he said, don't bother bringing it back, pretty much. He said they used to spend from daylight till dark, day in, day out, just drilling rock. He said they're a bloody good little jackhammer. Yeah, and could be a bit of a fun little project to fiddle around with. They're a different setup. Yeah, if you look on the internet, you can you see them in operation, made in Sweden. But they're bloody heavy, about 30 odd kilos or more. He said, yeah, it's amazing what they done with it, and just went all day, every day, never missed a beat. So yeah, it was pretty stoked. He let me bring it home and be able to clean it up for him, and yeah, still in the original box. It's pretty cool.